Hello, boyos. Welcome to the Loner Cast Spoiler Cast ranking discussion of the MCU movie Captain Marvel. We're talking about Captain Marvel and this subpar, movie that they just released. My name is Nick. That is Jake. There's not a lot to say about this movie, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. You think we can? Let's do something. Let's do something. What did you think about this movie, Jake?
I loved it. 10 out of
Great,
10.
beautiful. At least we'll have some sort of
My feelings on this movie, IRL, for real, Nick.
for real. Yeah, level with me.
My feelings on this movie are almost identical to how I feel about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think they're both just totally average movies, completely harmless movies, and just very milquetoast.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
just like the cinematography, and it's really hard after coming out of the Batman, which had like the most amazing cinematography. Like, hate the movie all you want and the story all you want, the cinematography of the Batman is like, damn,
Yeah.
they went all out. Like, this is a creative film and it's visually like fun to look at. This movie is not fun to look at. It is
No.
just ugly. It's just wide shots of like two people and then maybe a close up of their face.
It's so boring.
And,
the,
like,
the way it's shot.
Yeah, the
scenes.
color palette is just so boring. Like, there's nothing special about the movie, and I think that's one of its biggest flaws, along with Carol just being a very like convincing
Solid
character.
yeah.
Like, I just don't know what she
Concrete.
wants to be, and I don't even think it's Brie Larson's fault. I kind of like Brie Larson as an actor. Everything else I've seen her in, I've really liked her. Like Room, she's amazing. Obviously, she won an Oscar for that. And then Scott Pilgrim, she's great in Scott Pilgrim. It just seemed like they didn't quite know what to do with her character. Like, is she supposed to be super stoic or like super jokey? And then it's like she's only been there for 6 years, but it's like she was like grew up with Jude Law, and it was like weird.
Yeah.
I think she's got the right look for the character, though. Like, I look at her and I'm like, yeah, she looks like Captain Marvel, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just felt like they didn't know what to do with her.
The weird thing is I feel like this movie had a lot of pressure from the not the production company, but the distribution company. Um, because if they just, because it goes back in time to 1990, right? Set in the 90s. If they leaned into that more and like completely encased this movie in 90s culture, which they don't, I feel like this movie would have at least a little bit of charm. Where this movie is more just kind of like, it's not an espionage movie. It's not a buddy cop movie. It doesn't fit into anything. It's literally just, here's the story. That's it.
Well, and every piece of 90s, just to piggyback off what you're saying about the 90s stuff, like every piece of 90s like culture in the movie feels more like, here's a fun Easter egg about the 90s. Like, here's Blockbuster, here's Nine Inch Nails, and then like the songs that go in like over her action scenes, or like when she's in there and Come As You Are comes on by Nirvana, they felt like they were put in there like in post-production, like an afterthought. Like, we don't know what we're putting here. Like it, like that fight scene where No Doubt comes on, straight up feels like they probably just had the regular shitty Marvel music over top of it, and then they're like, let's just put No Doubt over top of it, even though it just like it's the most boring fucking fight scene I've ever seen in my life. That could have been such a cool moment where you just have like a kick-ass fight scene. Like, hire some cool choreographers and visual designers and like have a really kick-ass fight scene where Carol kicks ass and I'm just a girl plays. That'd be super cool. But no, it's just like the most boring generic fight scene I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, with weapons that are boring and generic.
Yeah.
There was the I think the only part of this movie that stood out to me as something different and kind of made me chuckle was the fact was like the midpoint of the movie, the turning point of the movie where the scroll kind of like shows up in the house and it's like super intense at first and then he's like I'm just here to talk and then you look outside and you see the other scroll who is mimicking the mom and you're like, "Oh shit, shit's gotten real." And then he's like, "No, I'm here to talk." And then they like break it up with some comedy and like that's the only interesting part of this movie. Everything else in this movie is just kind of like I feel like they're just trying like somebody went, "We need to put this movie out." Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what the story is. Just we need something. And it's just like, okay, well, let's hit these points so that it fits into the universe so that we can have a super overpowered character in Endgame. Um the end. Like that's
Well, yeah, but like also it was like they wanted to have Captain Marvel introduced. She's a big character in the comics or whatever. Uh, yeah, that makes sense. But like, yeah, it felt rushed because it's like they had to get it out before Endgame.
yeah.
And you know what was totally striking to me, Nick,
What's that?
uh, was the very end of the movie, the post credit scene, which is just a straight up a scene like ripped from Endgame or whatever.
Is it really?
Or maybe it's not straight up ripped, but you know, you
It's yeah, it could have been.
yeah, you hear the music like the classic like Avengers music, which is just like on point always and like sounds
Mhm.
cool. It
Right.
looks like visually nice, like it's got some like color grading to it a little bit and like there's some like actual camera movement going on. Just from this one little scene, you're like, man, this post credit scene was obviously not made by the person who made this fucking movie because this looks good. And
Yeah.
this movie looked like a fucking student film that had a budget of $100 million. Like,
Yeah.
like that movie is just, I want it. Like, I go into it. I remember when I first saw it, I went into it, I was like, I really want this to be good. And it wasn't. And going into it this time, I'm like, I really want this to be good. And
And
it's
it
not.
it's just and
It just
like yeah,
isn't.
exactly. I feel like the beginning of the movie is kind of interesting because they're setting up the characters. You got this really cool like Kree city that's very cyberpunk and very like let's figure this out. This is a sweet setting and we get it for 5 seconds. The next scene is just like a dusty midnight planet with nothing on it. And that's kind of like the next scene, and then the scene after that is Earth, and it's like, well, oh, okay, that's kind of boring. But then you have the uh, um, character development between um, Captain Marvel and whatever this her trainer guy is. I don't even remember his name. Um,
I don't remember either.
but like, I'm like,
Jude
oh, okay,
Law.
so Jude Law, yeah, Jude Law, and Captain Marvel, or I forget what her name, Verse.
Verse,
Um,
yeah.
I feel like they had like this moment that was like, okay, they're gonna build this up, and this is gonna be a good, dynamic between these two because I know what happens. I've seen the movie before. He ends up being a bad guy, but that never really like comes to a head. It's never earned by the end of the movie where she beats him up. Like, and
Right.
it's just like, okay, sure, I guess that's how that ends. It's very it's this movie is just a whole bunch of unearned stuff and then she gets her powers like full she takes the thing off her neck and is like, oh, I've been fighting with one hand tied behind my back, and they don't explain anything about like how she does anything or gets anywhere or realizes anything. She's just like, I'm powerful because
Yeah.
I said so.
It could have been
Like
done a lot
that was
better. Like I know what
like
they were going for, but it just didn't land. You know, like I
mhm,
understand what they wanted to do, but like even like the backstory between her and not Monica, but Monica's mom, I forget her name.
right.
Uh
Rambo.
yeah, Rambo. Like I just feel like they didn't explore that enough and they they didn't explore her past enough and Like it would have been kind of, we just get these like flashback scenes of her being a kid or whatever for like a split second, just to have like this cheesy moment of her being like, I'm tough.
Right. Yeah.
Humans are tough. And it's like,
But
that's really cheesy, but it would have been kind of interesting if we had like full on scenes of her childhood and
yeah.
like her actually interacting with her shitty family or whatever. And like,
Yeah.
because she had this shitty family, she decided to go into the military. And
Yeah.
like, just like some of these moments would have been nice. And like, instead of having this weird ass scene where Talos is like going through her brain or whatever to figure out, and like that's how we piece together. Also, that scene went on way too fucking long, where he's poking around in her brain.
Oh yeah,
like way too fucking long. And but it would have been cool if like, what if instead of that, they had the movie opened with like either her as a kid, and then it jumps to her with Rambo being like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then it just like cuts to her flying with the lady who ends up being a Kree woman.
Right.
And it ends with her crashing, and then it's like 6 years later. And
right.
And it's like she has no memory now, and we get a little bit of her past. We don't know what the fuck happened in that crash, and the mystery is what happened in the crash, not so much who is she,
Who is she? Yeah.
Like
and a lot of this movie doesn't have like a theme. Like most movies are like there's a message after a movie, like, if you do good things will happen. This movie doesn't have that. It's just like, what would the message be about this? Think hard enough about your powers and you are God. Like I don't understand. Like, if you say it, you can do it. Like I do not understand the message of this movie. Usually there is something that the movie's like, this is what you should take away. I took nothing away from this.
The message is, if you get knocked down, you get back up again. That's literally it. It literally is. There's a whole scene of her getting knocked down, and it's a montage of her getting knocked down and getting back up.
It wasn't earned at all. There was no lead up to
that.
It
Would have worked so much better if they did what I just said, where like we saw her as a character as Carol Danvers, because then at the end when it's like, you're not Vers, you're Carol Danvers, and we as audience members are like, we don't know who Carol Danvers is. We've seen maybe a scene.
We know as much as she does.
She has some fucking like mild conversations. We saw her like do karaoke once, but that's it. Like, we don't know who this person is. It would have been nice if we got full on scenes of her being Carol Danvers, but we had to have this mystery of who she actually was. When you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah. One of the biggest problems is like the audience knows as much as she does, but she seems to latch on to all of these other characters way better than the audience does.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, now we're
like
friends
Rambo,
with this person. Yeah. Oh, we're completely trusting this person, even though we don't know who anybody is. And there's also like shapeshifters around here. But forget that. We don't need to think about that because plot reasons. Like she's very trusting and also not trusting at the same time, and I don't understand the direction that they chose to go with.
Yeah,
it's just,
I think my two favorite parts of this. Sorry if I cut you off. Go.
It's fine. No, go.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, nope, sorry. I'm so good. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
don't want to cut you off.
Okay, stop being sorry. I'm gonna.
I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry. My two favorite parts of this movie. Okay, two favorite parts. I really like Gemma Chan as Minerva. She's barely in the movie,
but she is good. Yeah,
but she's cool. Like her, like visually, she looks cool, and she's got like a sniper, and it's cool. She looks like a fucking Destiny character. It's cool.
She sure does.
Yeah,
yeah, she does.
I'm into it. Also, go ahead.
I was gonna say she's also an Eternal, which is very weird. Yeah. We were discussing this. We're like, who is that? Oh, it's Gemma Chan. Isn't she the main chick from Eternals?
Yeah, she is.
She's Cersei, but it's like there's a reason why she's two people, because she's blue. You can't really tell because she's always got the glasses on, and she also dies
in the 90s.
Like,
yeah.
So it's like, all right, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, she's not coming
Um,
back unless they do a show like that's based in the 80s, but that would be the only way. I also really liked Lashana Lynch, who, upon further research, her name was Maria Rambo. I liked her a lot in the movie, actually. From the few scenes she's in, she gives like the strongest. I almost was like, I wish she was Captain Marvel, because
yeah,
she gave off a more like believable vibe, and like she had some scenes where she like was on the verge of tears or whatever, and I was like, wow, she's really good. I'm like
yeah,
really into what she's doing here. She's not in the movie a ton, but I'm like, I buy this character.
yeah,
And she was maybe the only character in the movie that I actually like bought and got
yeah,
behind. And now she's
yeah,
dead.
yep,
Yeah. They killed her.
yeah.
She's dead.
Going back to
They killed her off screen too. Rude. Just rude.
go going back to Minerva though.
Yeah.
If they do a show in the '80s with Minerva, Cersei is also in the '80s.
True.
So,
They can meet
like,
up.
the meetup, yeah, it's the fucking
Uh,
Eddie Murphy movie.
yeah,
Oh, I forget
totally.
what they're
Just
called. Yeah.
like Doctor Doolittle.
No, I was thinking
Uh,
more along the lines of like Doctor Evil and
oh
Austin
yeah,
Powers sort of thing, where they're just talking to each other,
like
but it's the same
the
person.
Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor is the one I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Or like
Um,
yeah, Medea,
yeah,
like a Medea movie.
yeah, like a Medea movie. Let's get into some fun facts, shall we? I've got a
Indeed,
couple.
indeed.
There's not a whole lot
Obviously,
about this
Gemma
movie.
Chan being in Eternals is a fun fact.
It
That
sure is a fun fact.
that is a fun fact for sure.
Uh,
Also, like so recently too, right? Like fucking Captain Marvel came out what,
oh yeah, that's true. It wasn't
like 2019? Like
2018, 2019, something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
And
like
then 3, 4 years later, she's in
yeah,
another one.
like
Mm,
immediately they had to have been
yeah,
filming Eternals like pretty close to right after they were filming this. Like that's pretty
yeah,
wild.
it is wild. Let's get into it. Stan Lee passed away while the film was being edited. As a result, Marvel Studios put together the special opening logo to honor him,
Best
which
part of
was
the movie.
cool.
Best
It
part of the
was
movie.
really good. I just wish it was a better movie. You know, he couldn't have died like after Endgame was being filmed, you know, like
He still gets the that's it, that is his last
cameo.
cameo as an Endgame. So at least we got that. I like his
Yeah.
cameo as well. In his cameo in this is him reading the script to Mallrats, which is a Kevin Smith movie where Stanley makes a brief appearance in the movie. So that's just a fun little fact.
Yeah, as revealed on Smith's YouTube page, Stan's health was in decline and he could not muster his trademark enthusiasm. So the producers looped in Lee's unused audio from Mallrats.
That's cool.
Weird.
That's cool. I like that.
Weird.
That's cool.
Huh.
I bet Kevin Smith is so honored by that.
That is cool. The cutout character that Vers shoots in the Blockbuster store was originally supposed to be The Mask in 1994, with Vers making the green face for a scroll, but the filmmakers couldn't secure the rights from Warner Brothers,
That
who
would have been
owns the film's distribution rights, and it's also a rival company of Disney. Harry Tasker, or Arnold Schwarzenegger from True Lies, was chosen instead because he's also green, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, like, okay. What a
that would
weird
have
choice.
actually made a lot more sense because I remember when
Yeah.
she shoots him, we're like, wow, she just would have killed someone there.
She would have killed somebody.
At least if it was the mask, it's like okay, yeah, they look like a fucking
Yeah,
scroll.
there's a green guy over there for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um oh God, Samuel L. Jackson improvised checking out the scroll's junk beneath the sheet
I do like
because
that. It's kind of
that
funny.
was necessary. I mean, it's funny, but also I feel like he would have done that off camera
Yo,
beforehand.
we never really mentioned it, but I hate to say it, I didn't really like Sam Jackson in this movie.
I didn't either. I feel like he was not
I feel like he
there.
was kind of phoning it
But
in.
honestly, here's the thing though. That's probably the real Sam Jackson. the real Nick Fury, and everything else where Nick Fury is actually good and relatable is because he's actually Talos.
Not confirmed. Not confirmed.
Not yet. Not yet.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, but like I thought he was just sort of like, and granted, you know, Sam Jackson's like an 80-year-old man, and they got this
Yeah.
dude running around hallways and shit. Like he can only do so much, and
Yeah.
like the effects look pretty good. He looks they made him look
Yeah.
younger.
They made him look great. Honestly, they did a great job.
That's probably where all their fucking budget went, was
True.
into making him look fucking young. But yeah, I just wasn't impressed with him. I was like, he felt like almost like a comedic relief character, which is sort of like, he can tell some jokes, he can be funny, like, but the whole time he's just sort of like the brunt of all the jokes, and it's like, I kind of want Sam Jackson to be like cool,
a badass,
like a young Nick Fury should be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I feel like he would be different than how he was portrayed in this.
Yeah, and yeah, I just wasn't into it. There were some jokes that I thought were funny. I like the thumbprint thing. I thought that was funny, where he like figures out the thumbprint and he's like, "You could have done that the whole time." Like, that's funny. Or him looking at the junk or whatever. But he just seems sort of like incompetent in this movie, and just sort of like
he's
slips on a
sidekick.
Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if he slipped on a banana peel at some point in the movie,
right.
you know?
Right, yeah. Especially with the cat, which was very random.
That he's just like,
had this affinity to a cat.
It's a cat. It's like, that's so weird,
it's
man.
like, okay, there's a random cat, and you're like totally stopping everything you're doing to pet this cat.
He could have at least just like done it more subtly, like where he's like, and like sort of petting it, but he's like, oh, it's a cat, just because for the walkie yuck yucks. It would have made sense if it was more like, come here, buddy, and he like picks it up and he's petting it, and it like comes along
lets
with
it gone, and then it ends up as a stowaway. He's like, well, I guess we'll keep it for now.
But it had to be like this fucking yuck joke.
Yeah,
and it still could have been a joke, but it didn't have to be so like
in your face about it. Yeah.
You know, like it's so stupid. I hate these Marvel movies, dude. The more we watch them, I'm just like,
the more we watch them. We got one more, dude. One more.
I know.
It's a good one. So, I hope it's good. After watching all of this, I'm like, I'm so sick of it. Brie Larson is allergic to cats, so her scenes involving Goose were filmed with a puppet or computer-generated video effects.
Oh, well. Especially orange cats. I'm very allergic to orange cats in particular.
I mean, I think they shed more.
I think you're probably right.
Or they have like the different
dander
type of fur. Yeah. Brie Larson. Oh, I'd already read that. In comics, Captain Marvel's cat is named Chewie after Chewbacca from Star Wars. In this film, it was named Goose after Goose Bradshaw from Top Gun. Okay,
that's cool. There are some like Top Gun references, like straight up that the first time we see her and Captain Marvel and Maria Rambeau like walking, I'm like, this is Top Gun. That's Tom Cruise. Like they are Tom Cruise. Both of them Tom Cruise.
More on the fucking cat. Goose is played by 4 different very professional cat actors named Reggie, Gonzo, Archie, and Rizzo. This is all the fun facts of this movie are just on this fucking cat. There's nothing else.
Well, I'm ready.
Hold on, I got one more. I don't know if this is good or not, but it's got somebody other than the cat. At around an hour 17 minutes, while Monica Rambeau is choosing a new color for Carol Danvers' suit, which is a cool scene, by the way. I kind of dig that. But how the fuck does she know how to do that?
She's been there for 6 years. Whatever.
I mean, the kid just like does the. It's just like,
I know
how this fucking things work. Yeah, it's
figure out a color wheel.
Suspend your belief a little bit. Is kind of what I have done. When she's messing with the suit, we can see many references. A red and yellow suit, the colors worn by DC's Captain Marvel, currently known as
Shazam.
A black and gold suit, the colors of Carol Danvers' Miss Marvel suit, and a white and green suit, the classic Kree armor suit colors in the comics. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Anyway, let's fucking rate Let's rank this bitch, shall we? That's the word I'm trying to say. Share my screen. Let's go with this. Let's go live, shall we?
We're live.
Let me move this bitch over here and zoom in. Do you want me to read it?
Sure. Everyone can see your email, by the way. But that's okay.
Yeah. No, there you go. Email me, bitches. Oh, this is the Loner Cast official MCU rankings of all the MCU movies, aside from probably Loki, which is why it has question marks. That we'll have to do a rewatch on. Number one, we got Loki. And
Hold up. For some reason, it's only showing me like 2 down.
What?
Like it's frozen or something.
It's frozen. All right, let me go back.
It doesn't really matter. We could see most of them.
Don't look at my shit. How about now? Is it any better?
It's literally just frozen. Just read it. It's fine.
All right. At number one, we got Loki, maybe. At number two, we got Iron Man. Number three, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. 4, Avengers Infinity War. 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. Thor Ragnarok after that. Guardians of the Galaxy after that. Number 8, WandaVision. Number 9, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 10, Eternals. Number 11, Captain America Civil War. Number 12, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. 13, Spider-Man Far From Home. 14, Spider-Man Homecoming. 15, Captain America The First Avenger. 16, Ant-Man. 17, Black Panther. 18, Doctor Strange. 19, The Avengers. 20, Hawkeye. 21, Black Widow. 22, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. 23, Iron Man 3. 24, Avengers Age of Ultron. 25, Iron Man 2. 26, Incredible Hulk. 27, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 28, Thor, The Dark World. And 29, Thor. I think you picked it last time, or you went first last time. So I think I will go first this time, meaning you will get to do Endgame. And I'm going to put it underneath Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm going to put it at number 28. I don't know if you can see it.
I can't see it, but that's okay. It's literally frozen, but that's fine. Yeah, I'll agree with you. That's exactly where I'd put it because I think at least Ant-Man and the Wasp had some jokes that I kind of chuckled at.
That and also like it had a couple of scenes, like the fight scenes were okay.
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
I think
the only fight scene I liked in Captain Marvel was the scene where her hands are like tied up and she's like,
yeah.
That's like the only thing that really stood out to me. Maybe the bus chase, but even that, it's like kind of boring. Yeah, and I like Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's good.
Yeah. Also, I do have to say I like the villain in this one more so than I did in Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it deserves to go beneath Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though it's at this point it doesn't really matter where we put it. Honestly, to be completely honest. So that's where it'll be. Number 28, underneath Ant-Man and the Wasp and above Thor the Dark World. Yes,
nice.
sir.
We did it.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe, like, comment, follow our shit everywhere, and also follow your mother's shit. She's got a lot of things going on right now. It would be really nice if you could support your mom.
She just started a podcast, your mom, and you should follow your mom's podcast.
Yeah, along with this one, but first your mom's podcast and then this one.
Yeah.
She supported you through most of your life, so you can do the same to her.
I agree.
Now. So thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.